Juicy today, guys.
Alan on hold.
Good deal.
Anyways, I hope you've made the shift to Signal.
To Signal what? Huh? I'm sorry.
It's the new get away from Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and all that garbage.
I don't use those.
Download Signal.
I don't use those.
Secure.
I don't use any of them. Yeah, Doob says, Greg, keep one hand on the dump button tonight. Andrew Pollack's on the show today, okay? We want to keep it. He's angry, and we do want to be careful with Andrew on. He's a wonderful guy, but emotions are running very high, so promise me you'll do that, Greg.
Always.
Thank you.
Always on the dump.
All right, Facebook fans, piss off big tech. Like and share these posts. We're using their forums until we can bail on them. We're going to talk about the things they don't like to talk about, okay? All right, so let's run through the top of the hour here on the studios real quick. Give me the main studio. Alan Gottlieb.
Yep.
Breaks. You have Gottlieb on. Pollack.
Yes.
AWR Hawkins, please. Round table. Roll through one time. Let's go. Scroll. There we go. All right. We're in good shape. Go back up to the top. Break, please. Bingo. Bullhead City AZ. Charlie back from North Carolina from the DC Wilds. Good stuff. I'm not going to spend that much time on that tonight, believe it or not. I think you'll find out why in my opening remarks. Di, how you doing, Mom? Going to be a great program today, I can promise you. By the way, before Parler goes off, make sure to like me over there at AAR Mark Walters. It will be up soon, and you'll hear something interesting in my opening remarks about Parler going off. Let me know when we have 30.
We're close. $30.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the KAHR Firearms Studio.
Mark, we know they want to take our guns, and now we're going to make them eat it.
It's 2021. We're in a new decade.
Freedom might be an uphill battle sometimes, but freedom will always prevail.
Proudly presented to you by X Insurance. X Insurance. On the Leadslingers microphone. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Oh, man. Here we go. Wow, what a week. Wow. Historic stuff in America. Did you ever think you'd see it, right? First Amendment on the chopping block today. How long before the second follows? That and much, much more today, I can promise you that. Welcome inside first these Armed American Radio Monster broadcast studios from the KAHR Firearms Group studios on this Leadslingers microphone. I'm Mark Walters, of course, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day, 6 days per week, and all of this being presented to you and brought to you by X Insurance. If the recent events in this nation, by the way, haven't yet convinced you to make sure everything in your life is covered by real insurance policies, including your freedom, your businesses, your activities, well, I would suggest you begin rethinking your plans, okay? X Insurance has you covered. That's why they're here. xinsurance.com to get your start, to start, I should say, your coverage process. It's free, and they will build a policy for you, and I can assure you that I sleep a hell of a lot better at night than I ever have because of my coverages. We'll talk about that later. Recent events, speaking of recent events, if you ever thought, as I said just a moment ago, in your lifetime that you would see what we're seeing unfold right before our eyes in America today, and I'm going to suggest to you that I hope you have, as listeners of Armed American Radio over the last dozen years, because we've talked about it together over that entire time period here on the program. And I've said for 12 years now that if the radical left continues their destructive path towards socialism, we're all going to have to make some difficult decisions. Those days are here. They're on us now. It's not coming, but they're here. Not maybe they'll be here soon. They are here. They're upon us. Remember, we can never, ever, ever refuse to accept the situation. We're smarter than that. Now, this is going to be a topic of conversation for days, no doubt weeks, months, and probably years, sadly, to come. But we're witnessing the evils of the progressive left agenda of silence and cancellation of anything and anyone who disagrees with them. And we're doing it right before our eyes, aren't we? Big tech we're talking about, and many others. Don't think for 1 second they won't come after this program, because they will. But they will fail. They will fail big time. But they will try. Big tech can't get their hands on this microphone, no matter how hard they try. Now, this is serious business. Your basic freedoms are at stake. Since the rally in D.C., where unfortunately a small handful of idiots turned a huge, peaceful rally, and that's what it was, into a bucket of shark bait chum, and that's what it became. And remember, we spoke to some of those folks live on the weekday show prior to trouble starting. Now the legacy socialist media is in a feeding frenzy, along with the radical political left, including big tech. Giant monopolies we're talking about here. Facebook, Twitter, Google, Apple, all in with the radical political left. All of them. Think about this. In shutting down free speech in this country and disavowing anyone on their platforms that they disagree with. I know. It's the whole private business thing. But I would argue with you successfully and dig deep into my business studies when I was in college about the monopolistic of this. These have become ingrained in your daily lives. These are not just normal private companies anymore. You're going to see that happen over the years. But they've shut down everyone. This includes the President of the United States. Of course, any other outlet they don't even own, such as Parler. Think about this, which is going dark apparently about less than 4 hours, 3 hours and 50 minutes from right now if you're tuning in live, because these firms are so huge. They control the platforms that everything else runs on. If you don't understand that, let me give you one little snippet. In this case, Amazon Web Services, otherwise known as AWS, which this program uses to archive thousands of hours of years of radio dating all the way back to our first show. This very program uses that platform. Don't think this hits close to home? It most certainly does. Oh, what a tangled web they've sown, right? The hypocrisy of these radicals knows no boundaries, and I'll be playing audio clips for you of them in their own words and their own fake newscast later in the show today. I have the audio. You'll hear their hypocrisy for yourself. Your blood's going to boil. So with the very destruction of our very freedoms, the foundations, I should say, is probably the best, with the destruction of the very foundations of freedom unfolding right before our eyes, you can bet the right to defend those freedoms is not going to be far behind. In fact, it's already begun with the implementation of a Biden-Harris administration in just a matter of a couple weeks, whose idea of unity, by the way, means agree with me, or in the lingo of text messaging, STFU. Agree with me or STFU? And if you refuse, I or my minions that control your dependency on big tech, well, we'll do it for you, as we've seen this entire week. And the political left applauding this. Think about this. The tolerant political left applauding everything we're talking about here today. Now, let me make this very clear. That's not the gun nut radio host acting as a fearmonger. Let's get this straight. Rather, it's the pro-rights freedom host simply telling you what the incoming administration has in store for you directly from their website. Registration schemes, background checks, bans, confiscation plans. Yes, never Trumpers. You too. I throw you in with the rest of them who gave us this garbage. Read it on their own website. That's if you can get your heads far enough out of your collective TDS suffering tail ends to actually read the words from the Biden plan and the Socialist Party agenda, the Democrat platform, from pages 47 and 48. I have them up here on my screens. We're going to get to them today. Because believe me, when that agenda begins rearing its ugly head and jumps up and bites, believe me, and it's going to do it. And when it happens faster than you can understand a Joe Biden sentence, this host right here, and if you're watching me on camera, look me right in my eyes and listen to me carefully, this host is going to hold you accountable. Loudly. You won't be able to outrun this microphone. That much I can promise you. You have my word on that. With all of this unfolding right before our eyes, some of you may feel a sense of despair. Those rotten to the core socialists have the country now, in large part because of two Stacey Abrams-controlled counties here in the red state of Georgia, DeKalb and Fulton counties, who've just, by the way, handed control of the U.S. Senate to Chuck Schumer. These things I'm saying to you now are actually coming true. Nightmare scenarios. I can promise you that your guns are on the block. And we, gun owners, freedom lovers in total, all of us, whether you own a gun or not, you don't have to own a gun. All you have to do is love your freedoms, whether you own that gun or not. We need to work together today like we have never done before. Never before. This is it. This is where the rubber meets the road. So how are we going to do all that? Well, we're not going to solve all those problems here on Armed American Radio today, but we will get a big head start on it. And I'd like to say that we've been here before. I'd like to be able to tell you that. When all seems lost, just remember, January 09 through January 2017 on this program, the Obama years. So I'd like to say we were there. Remember, they controlled the government for the first 2 years of the Obama administration. Remember that. And I'd like to be able to say we've been here before. But let me remind you, those years were child's play compared to where we are today. Child's play, if you can imagine that. I can go back and listen to the first programs, the first months of this program. 30. And I can tell you it was child's play. Think about this. The iPhone was only 2 years old at the time. 1 year old during the election. 1 year, the iPhone. Look at how far we've come. Big tech now censoring you and Parler on their app store because they don't like what you're talking about. But I guess nobody does drug deals or discusses riot plans on an iPhone, do they? Or uses them as an IED to blow something up, do they? The hypocrisy there knows no bounds. Big tech has us by the collective sack, folks. But I'm going to tell you something right now. There's a man coming up who for 40 years
20.
And was just recently our eyes and ears in the White House. A man who's beaten these gun grabbers in courtrooms across the nation for decades, and a man who, thank God, knows how to do it and provides us his time every week here on AAR. Mr. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the SAF and the CCR-KBA, is going to be here in just a few moments. Don't miss it. We'll be right back. See some names in here, some fresh names. First, let me say hey to some of the regulars in there. Rick Huggins, how are you, brother? Pleasure to have you here. And Timothy Overzet. Thank you, Timothy, for the kind words. I appreciate that. Greg, we did not record the intro on tape. We have it on the live stream, though. That's how busy we are.
Yo, we were busy chatting.
Solving the world's problems, brother Derek. Derek says, be ready to go to the AAR website when they stop this stream. It's happened before, guys, okay? That's all I can tell you. Paul Steika. Hope I said your name right. Steika. Paul, I apologize if I butchered your last name. We'll just say Paul from Southwest Utah. Beautiful place. I'll be out in Utah in the not-too-distant future. Yeah, it looks like they're not throttling us as much. I think we had about, 130 people watching already. Make sure to like and share these guys, okay? Robin Marie Scott Colbert. Hello from Lincoln, California. Micah McNeely, how you doing? I hear you, Micah. Listen to this microphone. David Weedman, and away we go. Yes, we do. Rainsville, Alabama, Jesse Jones. How you doing, Jesse? Ciao, paisani. Angelina, how are you? It's a pleasure. I had some nachi tonight with some Rao sauce. Very, very good sauce if you've never had it in a bottle and are too lazy. Like on a day today, I ran out of time where I'd have made my own gravy, but Robert Black, we're seeing stuff on that too. We can't confirm anything, so we're not going to talk about it. Lori Harrison, where am I? You're on Armed American Radio, Lori. You're on Armed American Radio, Lori. Kenny in Bullhead City, Arizona. Love Bullhead City. Kingman, too. We're out there on KAHR and KZZZ. Jim in Sevierville, Tennessee. Pleasure, brother. We got Alan Gottlieb lined up here. Greg, let me know when we're 30.
All right. We're close. And 30.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sebastian Gorka, letting you know that the Desperado Sport Fishing Crew in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and our right to bear arms. Now, back to Mark Walters.
Indeed, welcome back inside Armed American Radio's Monster Cast. Boy, I tell you, the Monster Cast show, the studios, the KAHR Firearms Group studios on the Leadslingers microphone. We love it, and we love them. All of it being presented to you today by X Insurance. If you want to watch us on the live streams, we're out there on multiple platforms on YouTube, and we're out there on Facebook as long as they'll have us until we get kicked off at some point in time, which I'm sure will happen. We've got a fairly large group watching us today. We appreciate that very much. Please make sure to like and share it. And if you're watching, you can see behind me who we've got on the screen. Let's jump right over to him there, and that's Mr. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Alan, it's a pleasure to have you here, my brother. What a bizarre. The change from last Sunday to this Sunday is remarkable, sir.
Unfortunately, you're correct, and it's not remarkable in a good sense. It's remarkable in a bad sense. It feels really good to be with you and your listeners and camaraderie here with like-minded people. I think it's important for all of us to rally together and work together right now. So thank heavens for your show, Mark.
Well, thank you, Alan, and thank you for giving us so much of your time. I've really been enjoying chatting with and reading some of the comments in here as we go through the program today during the break. And, the biggest one is, John Lane says, we're curious to hear what Alan thinks. Or Alan Gottlieb's coming up. Everybody buckle in. Everybody's looking forward to hearing what you have to say. I'd like to get some of your thoughts on my opening remarks. I going to be honest with you, Alan. I had to really tamp myself down. It's really easy to bring angry Mark up. This is an emotional time, and people are very angry and upset. I want to be able to keep people in perspective as to where we are, but we cannot refuse to accept the situation. We have to go forward, and we have to do this together. Please comment on those opening statements, if you would.
I liked them a lot, Mark. I thought you did a really good job in trying to be clear with it and state it as it was, and not leave yourself open to be attacked by our opponents for missing a word or saying something that they can take out of context. In all honesty, I wasn't happy so much about the rally taking place in Washington, trying to intimidate Congress to do their job to begin with. When a small minority broke away and broke into the building, it disturbed me greatly. But it actually disturbs me just as greatly to see the Democrats, the corporate media, and the tech industry jump on this and go absolutely crazy, not just to the extent of saying Trump can't be on Twitter or on Facebook, but also now wanting to impeach him. You're talking about resurrection and destruction at the Capitol. Well, I just want to remind your readers something, your listeners, something that they may not even know about. It's probably some of them may be even too young. But on November 7th, 1983, the U.S. Capitol building was bombed by a group of radical leftist revolutionaries known as the May 19th Communist Organization. One of the people arrested and convicted was Susan Rosenberg. She was sentenced to 58 years, but she only served 16. She is now the head of the Black Lives Matter Global Network, supported by Biden, Harris, Schumer, Pelosi, and all the big tech companies and big media that are now attacking, Trump, making him responsible for the actions of other people that broke into the Capitol. There's a lot of things you can criticize Trump for, and rightly so. But the bottom line, this shows you the demonization that used to take place, that demonized people that the left didn't agree with, like gun owners, to the where they tried to demoralize us, and now they're trying to deplatform all of us. I mean, I guess they're into the 3Ds, which will go for the Democratic Party. I mean, this is just totally ridiculous. It's all about freedom, and you're right when you're open. How you talk about how this is a blatant attack on First Amendment rights, which they're going to use to attack Second Amendment rights. We know it's coming. They've telegraphed it. We've been talking about it, and it's going to get worse. And that's why we all need to band together now and stand our ground and fight smartly and get engaged and involved, and more so than ever. And it's not time to give it up, give up the ghost, because what they want to do is basically put us all in a position that we feel like we have no say, we can't do anything, and we drop out. Well, we are not going to drop out. We're going to call up the reinforcements, and we're going to fight twice as hard.
It's good to hear you on the program. I'm glad you're here. And I know listeners are getting a good dose of this too, Alan. Thanks for those comments. Let me give you a brief montage, listeners and viewers, and I apologize for not having this screen up for you, those of you who are watching the show. But I want to quote for you Kamala Harris with a burning city behind her. Protesters should not let up, she said, over the summer. She also set up funds to pay the bail of those individuals that were arrested for destroying American cities and looting businesses. Nancy Pelosi with a burning building behind her. I just don't know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, Pelosi said. Maybe there will be. Then you got a talking head from over there at CNN. I don't know who she is. Suffice to say she's bald. Maybe that rings a bell for you. I don't know. There needs to be unrest in the streets. There needs to be unrest in the streets with burning city behind her. And, of course, probably the most infamous of all, Alan, is Maxine Waters. If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd and you push back on them and you tell them that they're not welcome anymore anywhere. Alan, this is really frightening stuff for a number of reasons, but they're literally trying, I'm not metaphorically speaking here at all, and trying to anger the crowd or the radio or is for entertainment purposes. They are absolutely, literally trying to cancel you, me. They would love to disappear us, wouldn't they?
Most definitely, Mark. I mean, let's be candid about this. They want to make gun owners and gun ownership not welcome in America.
Well, they're going to have, look, I'm going to be straight up with you, Alan, and straight up with the audience. Guys, when I have Alan on the program, I don't have a whole lot of notes, okay? We're talking about this openly as if it were a private conversation, and it kind of is because we're all family here across the country on these 200-plus stations when we talk about these things. But, Alan, you heard me mention that we can't refuse to accept the situation. The fact of the matter is, as much as it disturbs us to say it, those lefties, those gun grabbers, are going to run all three levers of power in Washington after the inauguration: House, Senate, and the White House. Is there anything standing in their way when it comes to what we know is going to be a Biden-Harris onslaught on our rights? And when we come back from the break, Alan, I'm going to read some of that platform so people understand what we're talking about. But is there anything standing in the way?
Yes. You, me, and every one of your listeners.
Bingo. And we're going to explain how to do that. Well, we'll go ahead and get us started. I mean, let's first start about talking about joining the SAF is probably a clear-cut way to do it, right?
30.
Well, not just joining SAF, but every gun rights group out there, national and local and statewide. We have to be really engaged, really energized, and out there playing smart and using the system to beat them at how they're trying to use the system against us. And we can do it.
I know we can do it. We'll talk about how we've done it in the past as well. We'll reiterate some lawsuits that Alan has in place and what we're going to do through the courts, which the Second Amendment Foundation, of course, nobody can touch them. I have some audio of a new television spot that the Second Amendment Foundation and Alan have rolling. We'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. And I also have some fun audio we'll play maybe in the final segment of the media and just the utter hypocrisy of their being okay with burning cities and not what it's just, you get it. I know you've seen it. We'll be back with Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, right after this. Don't go away. Like and share these posts. Come on, it's big tech. Let more people watch.
America was
This show's going to fly tonight, Greg, just to let you know.
Oh, it's already.
Mike, I'm seeing you. Yeah, 1776, you're right. PayPal, Chase Bank, and others pulling the Trump merchandisers and so forth. David, you're welcome. Absolutely true. Thank you. Paul, thanks for that, for the heads up. I don't like to butcher a name, bro. Thanks for giving me that. I do appreciate that. David Walensky, good to see you in here. Got some good names in here. John Adine. Brian Gant, Coastal North Carolina. Coastal North Carolina is beautiful. Yes, Angeline, that's what I meant. Hello, Lynn Wagner. How are you? Nathan, Angry Mark time. It's it's tough, man. It's really tough. I spoke with Alan earlier today a couple times and a couple nights ago. And tamping that down is necessary. You have to tamp that down right now. But trust me, there's Angry Mark will be out more often than not. Yeah, Bill, you can, and that's cool. That's behind the scenes sausage making stuff you get here on the stream.
We're close. 30.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason on KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, and you're tuned into the Armed American Radio Network. Now let's get back to the man himself, Mark Walters.
Absolutely have to love Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason over at KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, of course, in Wichita, Kansas. Lots of fans in Wichita, Kansas. We love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it very much. I am Mark Walters. This is Armed American Radio's Monster Broadcast. I am filling your prescription for freedom for what is going to be no doubt the fastest 3 hours of your life this week. I can promise you that. It generally is every single week. We are coming to you from the KAHR Firearms Group studios. This is the Leadslingers whiskey microphone in full action with the volume cranked up right now, and all of this is being presented to you by X Insurance. We're talking to the legend, the man, the patriot, living, breathing patriot, Mr. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Welcome back, sir. Let's talk briefly, Alan, about, because I'm seeing comments in here. People are liking what you have to say, and we need to stick together. You've got a television spot coming out. If it's okay, I'd like to play the audio for that. Can I do that right now? Would you mind?
Okay, play the audio, and then we'll talk about it.
Sounds good. Let's do it. I'm coming from my board. Let's do this. Come on.
Your Second Amendment rights are under attack like no other time in history, and the Second Amendment Foundation needs you to take action now. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have pledged to make taking away your Second Amendment rights a top priority through gun bans, gun confiscation, government regulations, and even a gun tax. They have aligned themselves with anti-gun activists like billionaire Michael Bloomberg and appoint radicals like Beto O'Rourke as the anti-gun czar. The fight begins now with your text of Protect 2A to 474747. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder. Your right to own a gun and protect your family are on the line. Text Protect 2A to 474747 and join the fight to protect your Second Amendment rights. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder.
All right, Alan, that's pretty clear cut. And I want to first off say this. Are you fear-mongering with that? They really want to do that?
Well, I'm sure that Facebook and Twitter would say that. I'm sure that, Amazon, cloud services would probably say that. I'm sure Pelosi and Bloomberg would say that. But, I'm just telling the truth. And what we're trying to do here is next week, I've been lucky enough, thanks to our supporters, many of which are your listeners, to have raised enough money to buy 40 national TV spots across multiple networks, and Dish and Direct TV next week. So we'll be on, Fox News, Fox Business, CNBC. Well, you're going to be on MSNBC and Bloomberg's network. Good. And we're there because Dish and Direct TV without having to pay MSNBC or Bloomberg a penny. And, of course, it's really going to ruffle their feathers, and I'm really glad about that. It'll make them feel the heat back. And I'm in the process of trying to raise the money to run it the following week as well. I'd like to keep this on as long as they're attacking our rights. I'd like this spot to be running on national television. I'm really excited about it. My hope is that next week alone we bring in 30,000 new people that we haven't had in our databases to help fight for our gun rights, with people texting Protect 2A to 474747, and bring them into the fold, into the battle. And then if we can keep it going each week, we can keep doubling and tripling the amount of people that are coming into our ranks as energized supporters of Second Amendment rights to try and help stop this assault. And that's one of the many things that we're working on in organizing gun owners to make sure that we're organized, engaged, and involved to be able to fight back.
And I say that sarcastically, obviously, listeners and viewers. Here's why. Because I'm going to direct you to page 47 and 48 of the Democrat Party platform. It's not Alan making this stuff up. That ad's not fear-mongering. That's the real deal. It's right off their own website. You see, unlike others, I take them at their word. This is what they say they want to do. And let me just mention a couple of these. And direct from page 47, the bottom of page 47, and the top of page 48 from the Democrat Party platform from 2021. Democrats will also ensure the Center for Disease Control and Prevention will have sufficient resources to study gun violence as a public health issue. Yeah, remember Obamacare with that one? Including the ongoing health care, mental health, economic. Democrats will enact universal background checks, end online sales of guns and ammunition, close dangerous loopholes. What dangerous loopholes? Whichever ones they call it, they make names up. Boyfriend loopholes, Charleston loopholes. Misdemeanors will not bar you from life. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, Mark, what it to them is the Second Amendment is a dangerous loophole to stop them from having a totalitarian government wiping out our First, Second Amendment, and other rights that we currently enjoy. That's why they're coming after gun owners and guns so heavily.
Yeah, it's going to be a mess. There's no question about it. And they're also talking about guns be safe and stored. Go ahead.
Yeah, when they talk about insurrection and not respect for the government, and people trying to shut down dissent. The problem is they're the ones that are creating it. They're the ones that are proliferating it. If they weren't attacking, example, gun owners and gun rights, gun owners probably wouldn't care and wouldn't be engaged or involved. We're here in self-defense. We're not. This isn't offensive at all per se. We're just trying to protect our constitutional and civil rights.
Alan, it's amazing how the pendulum has shifted in the past few weeks. I mean, I say few weeks. It's been shifting for a while. But nonetheless, it seems like this stuff kind of sneaks up on you, kind of like it did in Virginia. A lot of people don't have their eye on the ball. All of a sudden, what happened in Virginia, which had been building for a number of years, seems to have just popped up just like that, when it really didn't, did it?
Well, it culminates, in what happened. It obviously took a lot of planning and a lot of work from the other side quietly to get there, by talking about, hey, we support the Second Amendment, but and a lot of voters, a lot of gun owners. I mean, they're not really going to take my gun away. They may take somebody else's away, but I still get to keep mine. Well, the problem is when they come for one gun today, they'll come for the rest of the guns tomorrow. All they're trying to do is divide and conquer, and our people need to realize that. And we got to get really engaged and really involved. You and I have been preaching this for a long time now. We watched what was happening in the election cycle with a lot of the fake news, a lot of things the media was saying that wasn't true. We see that all the time on so-called gun polls that are out there that everybody wants supports their agenda. They don't support their agenda. The American people support the Second Amendment. It's just that the media does a very good job of confusing the issue and trying to give out false narratives so that people go and vote the wrong way.
Well, we're going to see that times 50 gobzillion now with their partners in position to be pulling all three levers of power. We're going to see misinformation like we've never seen before. More lies of omission, I think, than anything else. Alan, go ahead, please. Yeah,
well, the bigger problem we have now is with all that, we now have big tech virtually unanimously willing to trample rights. And we know where they stand on Second Amendment rights already in most cases. We know where they've given their money and which politicians they've supported. And the problem here is now they have a way to shut off a lot of our microphones, so to speak. They have a way of stopping our reach. I'll be honest, I've watched over the last few years the reach on Second Amendment Foundation's Facebook page decrease and decrease and decrease.
Yeah.
While the number of people we have following us goes up, up, and up, Facebook doesn't allow us to reach our own people on our Facebook page. So I know where they're coming from. We have to get really, really engaged in this and say we're just not going to put up with it. We are going to fight back.
The vast majority, what Alan is saying is very true. I see it on my own page. At one point, over 100,000, down 18, 19,000 right now, and the reach continues to drop while the videos continue to pick up reach. What happens, Alan, is that those individuals who like you as organic followers, and ours are 100% organic, are not being told in their feeds that we're on. Your information isn't reaching the vast majority of these people. I mean, they're literally censoring you, even though it doesn't appear they're censoring you. Gregor, how much time do we have in this segment?
20 to music.
Okay, we've got 20 seconds. Alan, go ahead.
We also have the problem that the media as a whole, most people now get their media news through the internet.
Yeah.
If somebody else controls the internet, they control the news feeds as well.
Well, and of course, I'll take it to the break with this. This is the old communist doctrine. Control the media, control the message, control the message, control the masses. It's been used for decades to control people, and the biggest form of control in that little equation is the lie of omission. It's not going to tell you what they don't want you to hear. Chinese communist propaganda, Chinese communist CCP. Guess what? The Dems want a Freudian slip, will pass legislation that will ban your assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. It's right on their page. Don't take it from me. I'm not a gun nut. Go read it yourself. See if I can pull this audio up from a Twitter feed.
Unruly. That ain't a riot, what we're seeing right now in Minneapolis.
I want to be.
Good, we're going to go here with this when we come back from the break. Final segment of the first hour already. That ain't even right.
30.
Roger that.
Last segment.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by Defender Coffee. When you drink Defender Coffee, you're making a donation to a gun rights organization of your choice that protects and defends your freedoms. Welcome back to the show. Indeed, welcome back inside Armed American Radio's Car Firearms Group studio on the Leadslingers microphone here. All of it presented to you by X Insurance if you're watching on the live streams. I'm holding up a 5-pound bag of Liberty Roast organic Defender coffee. Came the other day. Amazing stuff. We needed it. We were out in the house. AAR is the promo code, defendercoffee.com. Please support all of our partners. You see what's happening out there. They're trying to cancel everybody. We've got to work together as a unit. These partners that we work with keep Armed American Radio and this voice on the airwaves. We are 12 years in. April 26th is our 12th anniversary. Believe that or not, April 27th begins our 13th year on the airwaves. Leadslingers Whiskey, xinsurance.com. Just go there and start a quote, please. Second Amendment Foundation, SAF.org. Crossbreed Holsters. Crossbreed Holsters is the microphone on the Daily Show, the weekday program. Make sure to go over and check out all the discounts on the website. And, of course, North American Arms with us for another year. MyPillow.com. Are you kidding me? Mike Lindell? The guy's a patriot. He's been all over the country fighting on behalf of our freedoms and our rights, and he supports this program. I've got the video and the audio to prove it. We'll be running that in the next few weeks. Frontsight.com. Frontsight.com. Piazza, myself, Jason, and others will be working together with X to bring you some cool events coming from Frontsight in the very near future. In the meantime, trumpsarmy.us. Trumpsarmy.us. Make sure to check it out. Piazza's got you covered over there. You can get on the list. Doesn't cost you a dime. And if you go to frontsight.com/Mark, let me throw that in there, /Mark, you can get that course, the certificate for the 2,000-hour course, 100% free. Doesn't cost you anything. And guess what happens when you do that? Armed American Radio is supported. It didn't cost you a dime. Use it, don't use it, sell it, whatever you want to do. And it supports this radio program. Please, frontsight.com/MARK. It's so important. Bursa is out there with us. Rafael Devalli will be with us next week. Bursa, you know I want that Thunder 380. I've got to have it. And, of course, Car Arms. Let's not forget that. Let's go back now to Mr. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. Alan, with this final segment, I guess, let me ask you a question. Do you mind, and I want to ask you if it's okay if I play some audio. I'd love for you to hear some of the hypocrisy from actual reporting from the riots over the summer. Are you ready for this one?
Go for it.
Take a listen to this.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
That ain't a riot, what we're seeing right now in Minneapolis.
They are strictly principled anti-fascists, and they've taken a principled stand to stand against white supremacists and white nationalists wherever they may show up.
I argue to you tonight, all punches are not equal morally.
It says it right in the name, Antifa, anti-fascism, which is what they were there fighting. Listen, there's, no organization is perfect. There was some violence.
Any reasonable person would say we shouldn't be destroying other people's property, but these are not reasonable times.
But thank goodness for the looters, man.
And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I don't care that much about statues.
Shouldn't that be done by shouldn't that be done by a commission or the city council, not a mob in the middle of the night throwing it into the harbor?
People will do what they do.
What you're seeing behind me is one of multiple locations that have been burning in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Do not get it twisted and think that, this is something that has never happened before, and then this is so terrible, and where are we, and these savages and all of that. This is how this country was started.
People get mad, and people get sick of it. People are risking COVID to explain to this country that we're fed up.
Most of the major movements in American history have started at the grassroots level and at some point have turned into direct conflict with American government. So remember your history before you judge your president.
Thuggishness is thuggishness wherever it comes from politically, and we should be the first to call it out.
I disagree.
That is unbelievable, Alan. That is just incredible. Now, I had the luxury of being able to watch it, and what you saw in the background was cities burning, literal chaos. You know, it's just incredible.
Mark, you know, I live in the Seattle area.
Right.
I've seen the destruction in the city of Seattle. I've taken 3 trips to Washington, D.C. to be at the White House. Walking through the streets to get to the White House, I see all the busted windows, the boarded up stores, the damage done to property, the defacing of faces of buildings. But that's okay if it's all done by the left. Now, I don't think it's good if it's done by anybody. But the bottom line is that the other side will use this every way they can to take away our rights, our freedoms, starting with the First and Second Amendment rights, and we're seeing it happen right now.
We are watching it in real time, and I if I can find this, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has a tweet out. I just want to read it to you. This is all happening in real time. I love live radio. The elected officials who amplified and repeated known lies about our election served as drum corps to insurrectionists. The drum major in the House was GOP leader Kevin McCarthy. Representative McCarthy bears unique elevated responsibility in all this chaos. He must resign. She's been going back and forth with Cruz. Cruz needs to resign. Everybody needs to resign. Everybody needs to be canceled. These people are going after their political enemies, Alan. I have never seen it like this in this country, and I'm going to be frank, upfront, and honest with you. I am incredibly concerned about what the future for my 16-year-old son, whom you know very well, you spoke to him today, and my 18-year-old daughter. I am very concerned what the future holds for them. Alan, we're at a point now, we've got a minute and a half left. I want you to close the show out and tell people what we need to do to stay together, stay calm, and do things the right way. Alan Gottlieb, go ahead.
Well, I think your listeners know that they need to be engaged and involved and support gun rights groups and get involved in social media. And speaking of social media, of course, we've hired Brad Parscale, who did all the stuff for the Trump campaign, turned out all the bodies at the rallies, built up the whole, databases of supporters all across the country. He's now working for the Second Amendment Foundation. You're going to see staff come out of the box very heavily on the internet this year, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to reach people, hopefully before the internet shuts us off, because we need it to grow, and so we're going to try and take as much advantage of it as we can, as quickly as we can. So anybody who can help support us and donate to us, both to keep our TV spots on the air, to have our internet media campaign going, so we can both support our One Lawsuit at a Time project, our Winning Firearms Freedom, One Lawsuit at a Time, our Second Amendment First Responders program. Those things are really, really, really important. Help grow the Second Amendment family. So we need everybody's support right now more than ever. SAF.org. Please, I'm begging all of you, because you notice when AOC wanted to cancel everybody else out and everybody else should resign, she didn't ask Biden to resign or Schumer to resign or Pelosi to resign or even herself. All these people who supported all the violence on the left for the last year, which helps spur gun sales a whole lot. Because people are worried, defund the police, take away 30 guns, let the crazies on the other side run wild. Take all of our politicians off the board. They should all resign. And then be filled by who? The crazies? This is what we face, and we've got to stand up to it now.
Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. I'm sure my listeners, I know you listeners and viewers will heed the advice from Mr. Gottlieb and get involved. If you are not a member of your local grassroots organization in the state that you live in, please consider doing that. You can join other organizations around the country. I'm a life member of AZCDL, for example. All right, so I'm a life member of SAF. You can do this with gun rights organizations around the country, but we need you. We need you now more than ever, and we're going to be talking about this, of course, probably for the foreseeable future, because the enemies of our freedoms have all 3 levers of power in Washington. Later in the show, I'm going to read you Biden's own website. It's not the crazy gun nut. All right? I'm not fear-mongering. I'm reading it from their pages, and I'm going to take them at their word. You would be wise to do the same thing, too. Good heavens. Those of you who can't figure that out right now, right? Man, oh, man. Andrew Pollack, Meadows' dad, Parkland father, coming up next. He will be followed by the great AWR Hawkins at Breitbart News. Do not miss this next hour coming up. That's followed by the Roundtable. We'll be back.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Needs. I'm Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. When someone says we don't need that kind of gun, remind them the Founding Fathers determined what rights our Constitution should protect. There's a world of difference between rights and needs. It is not the function of government to tell us what we need or what we don't. Certainly no one needs an assault rifle or a Saturday night special, or for that matter, no one needs a Corvette with a high-capacity horsepower engine capable of speeds to 150 miles per hour. But in the hands of honest, responsible individuals, we have the right of choice. We have the right to read books others don't like. We have the right to listen to any radio program we choose. We have the right to dress the way we want to. We also have the right to own firearms of our choice. So the next time someone tells you, you don't need something, tell them it's the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Needs. Join the Second Amendment Foundation today so that this message and our Bill of Rights might live. Call 425-454-7012. That's 425-454-7012.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and when I invented My Pillow, I wanted to have everything you'd ever want in a pillow. You can adjust the patented fill to your exact individual needs. You can wash and dry My Pillow. It has a 10-year warranty not to go flat, and it's made in the USA. And now, for a limited time, you can get a queen-size premium My Pillow for the lowest price ever. Regularly $69.98, now only $29.98. That's a $40 savings. I'm also giving you deep discounts on all my Pillow products, including my bed sheets, mattress toppers, and bath towels. Not only are you getting the lowest prices ever, but they make the best Christmas gifts ever. Buy now, and I'll extend my 60-day money-back guarantee to March 1st, 2021.
Hey, it's Mark, and you know Mike supports the right to keep and bear arms, and we support Mike. Please visit mypillow.com and click on the radio listener specials box and use promo code AAR for all of Mike's great discounts. Or call 800-978-9358, and remember, use promo code AAR. Greg, I'll be back in a second.
All right.
Michael Slaughter, brother, you're right, man. Shouted out to you before. A lot going on here, man. I hear you. A lot going on. Guy, always a pleasure. Yeah, Parler. Good for you for getting on Parler. Lots of comments going on tonight. I'm looking at some of the comments in here. Jay, there's a lot of them. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but we hit 100 comments like in the first 15 minutes of the show. So as I scroll through, it continues to update the comments. But I see here, Jay Bob says, make the riot justification piece shareable. It's on my Twitter feed. I'll go ahead and put it back out or reshare that. But if you go to at AAR Mark, you can see that on my Twitter feed. Okay, that piece you need to get out there as often as possible. I'll stick that up on Facebook as well. But it is on my Twitter feed right now, guys. Back at you in a couple seconds with Andrew Pollack. Let me know when you got Andrew on.
Isn't that at the bottom of the hour?
No, I think we got him.
9:32.
Oh, we got AWR. You got AWR on yet?
No, he hasn't called yet. You probably switched up the times with him.
I did. Now go ahead and call. Go ahead and call Andrew.
Okay. You getting senile?
I'm losing
30.
it. Yeah. You got him yet?
30. I'm calling.
Thank you.
Is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the KAHR Firearms Studio.
Mark, we know they want to take our guns, and now we're going to make them eat it.
It's 2021. We're in a new decade.
Freedom might be an uphill battle sometimes, but freedom will always prevail.
Proudly presented to you by X Insurance. X Insurance. On the Leadslingers microphone. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Indeed, welcome inside Armed American Radio's Monster Cast, KAHR Firearms Group Studios on the Leadslingers microphone. I thought for sure I would have screwed that up by now, but I actually have not done that. The Crossbreed Holster Studios are busting out for us on the weekday show every single day, Monday through Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 to 2 Pacific, and, of course, this program here today, 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern, 5 to 8 Pacific Time. And it has been one hell of a week. All of this, of course, let me say this quickly, being presented to you by X Insurance. X Insurance, get your quotes over there for free. I'm sleeping a hell of a lot better, I can tell you that much right now. And here's why. Because I have real insurance. And in today's day and age, look, gun owners are targets. It's as simple as that. If you were paying any attention to the first half hour or the first hour with Alan Gottlieb, I think you figured that out. It's a very perilous time in America. The left is coming after you. As much as I hate to say this, from a crime standpoint, if people know who you are, you may very well become a victim. Walk around with anything to do that shows your conservatism today's day and age. People are very concerned about it. X Insurance has your back if you carry a gun. They cover your business for you. They'll write gap insurance policies. Just make sure to check them out. You know, the final numbers are in. Greg, do we have our guests on by chance?
Yes.
We do. Okay, good. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go right to Andrew Pollack then. Meadows' dad, Parkland father. Andrew, welcome to the program, my friend. How are you?
Pretty good, Mark. A rough week for everybody, the 74-plus million of us.
Very rough week, very difficult week, and I thank you for jumping in a half hour earlier, by the way. A very, very difficult week for us. You know, I was talking with Mr. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, and I kind of opened up with that. You know, it's distressing to a lot of people. So what, because I've been watching your Twitter as long as we all have Twitter at this point. I don't know about you. I've lost thousands of followers. I'm sure you have lost many as well through this purge.
Oh, they took 30. I'm down at least 35,000 now. So if anyone's out there not realizing they're coming after me, it's kind of some scary times. Attacking our freedom of speech, removing the president. Other people are leaving. They're silencing me, and it's happening. It's scary.
No, it's real. That's what I tried to impart to people. You know, Andrew, years ago on the program, I started saying if this continued push left continues, let me put it this way, if the political left, now outright socialists, continue to push this country down the road that they're pushing this country, good, decent, hardworking, law-abiding people are going to have to make decisions that they never thought they'd have to make before. And as I opened up with Alan in my opening statements in the first segment, we're here. It's not getting ready to happen. It's not might happen. It not maybe next week, or it's not we're close. Andrew, we're here. We're here now.
Well,
and we can't refuse to accept that.
Yep. To me, I think a lot of people don't get it, how bad it is, what's going on. Right now, I feel like we don't even live in a democracy. The whole integrity of our election system has been compromised, and they're attacking freedom of speech. And it's right here. It's happening as me and you are on the talking, and I'm seeing it. I'm watching my followers drop by the thousands.
Yeah.
And other conservatives that I'm friendly with, influencers, they're going to leave Twitter. People are leaving Twitter, but I believe I'm going to hang on a little while longer until if anyone wants to see, I'm still tweeting Andrew Pollack FL, and I'm hammering harder now. I don't believe in unity. It's not unity to the Democrats. It's submission.
Correct.
And that's what they want us to do. They want us to submit, and we have weak Republicans in office that are submitting. And I'm not a type of guy that's going to submit, and they are submitting. And we have to remember all of them when it comes primaries. But the problem, everyone, is with the election system. So the primaries are coming. But if we don't figure out what went wrong with the election, the integrity of our elections and the process, they're going to lose. They're going to lose millions of voters.
Well, I like I've said before. I mean, I can't. I can only tell you what I feel. I know what I see. I know what I watched here. I know what happened in DeKalb County and in Fulton County as the Stacey Abrams machine back a couple of years ago when she lost the gubernatorial race here, Andrew, by 57,000 votes. Couldn't find him anywhere. Still never conceded. Still thinks she's the president of the state of Georgia, I guess. But we saw them begin making this massive mad push for mail-in ballots and begin putting drop boxes. And I think the number was 47-1 in the Democrat-controlled areas in DeKalb and Fulton counties versus the Republican rural counties around the state. We saw that happening. We saw what Governor Kemp and Raffensperger did here to appease Stacey Abrams, and we saw the results of the election in those counties. Now, Andrew, I'll tell you something that bothered me. I'd love to get your take on this. I've talked about it before. When, you see your elected officials, they show them voting, right? They show them going to the booth and doing whatever they do. In this case, they showed Stacey Abrams, who is not an elected official, in the state, in the city where she lives in Atlanta, dropping off her absentee ballot in a box instead of going to the polls, Andrew. Isn't this part of the integrity of the system you're talking about? Why wasn't she at the polls?
Well, listen, it gets even worse. So you're talking about all that. I lived in it. I lived in the worst
Broward, Dade
County,
yeah.
Florida, Broward.
Yeah.
So I was there in 2018. That was my daughter was murdered that year, and I got involved with politics because I saw what Governor at the time, Rick Scott, wanted to really look into everything that happened, and he formed a commission. He found failures. We passed a bill. He did so much. So I fought for him, and Ron DeSantis, who's the best governor now in the country in Florida. I fought for him because he was going to hold officials accountable. So I got behind Ron. So we're there at the election, right? All of a sudden, for days after election, truckloads of ballots were coming in Broward County, pallets of them, right? And I'm there watching it. I got it on camera. I'm watching it. It's going on. It's on my social media. And so what happened? So they removed the supervisor of elections, right? But they didn't prosecute anybody. They didn't go in and find out exactly what happened in Broward, right? And that could have been a test right there. I guarantee you in Broward in 2018, and it happened prior and other times in Broward, that they were rigging the election system. But Republicans, they won, they caved. They should have went in there and got the machines. They should have made arrests and held people accountable, but they never did. And now look where we're at, 2020, in this election. So, we're used, if you live in these counties, isn't it funny how it only happens in Democrat-run counties where there's problems, where it doesn't stop, the the votes keep coming in for days. It doesn't happen in counties, that are run by Republicans. And I'm telling everyone now who's listening. So in Broward, the supervisor of elections was removed in 2018, and it was an appointee from then Governor Scott. So that appointee is out now. Now there's a Democrat back in Broward. So you'll see now the next elections, it's going to be the same thing. It'll come down to Broward all of a sudden. 2, 3, 4 in the morning, the ballots will be coming in, and for days they'll be finding ballots, just like they did in those counties you mentioned.
Well, it's interesting because, as you know, I lived in Florida during that time back in during Bush Gore. In fact, I was married on November 4th. I was on my honeymoon when that debacle was going on, and but Broward at that time was so corrupt. This has been a problem in Broward County for many, many, many years, and as you know, it is. And then again, I think her name was Brenda Snipes, if I'm not mistaken. She was finally ousted.
She was removed.
Yeah, I mean,
she was removed.
Well, you guys fixed that with legislation in Florida, and that's what's going to wind up having to happen here in Georgia. But this current governor simply doesn't have the sack to get it done. He just doesn't. And,
well,
remarkable.
What's good, though, he's up for election, right?
Yeah.
He's got 2022. It's going to be so interesting because I was just reading I was looking at my Facebook, and Rubio, and I'm friends with Senator Rubio, Marco. He made a comment that it's time to move the page and accept the President-elect Biden in this election. It's time to turn the page. I don't know where these guys are getting their advice from, because he's up in 2022.
It's just swamp stuff. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm talking with Andrew Pollack, Parkland father of Meadow, his beautiful daughter, murdered at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. And Andrew's out there fighting the fight every single day. Strength coming from God, I guess. I'll be back with Andrew right after this. Don't go away, please. Thank you for grabbing him.
Yep.
I was moving through content here, and I didn't hear you say that you had him, so. I had to move over to Plan B in the event that we couldn't get him on early enough.
Sure.
Broward, what a cesspool that's been in Florida for years. And my God, it was so corrupt. Year after year as a Florida voter, everybody had to wait for Broward. Every single election, the corruption was just immense.
I think I possibly found Trump's Parler account.
I'm sure he's had one under the radar for a while.
Well, I found one that is.
Hey, hold on 1 second. I've got AWR. Hey, bud, how you doing? It was nothing. My bad. I had to bring Andrew in. I gave him the wrong time. You're good for calling in at the bottom of the hour. Yeah, everything's good. You're good for calling in about, 13 minutes or so? Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was my fault. I gave Andrew the wrong time, but we got it worked out. See you in a few. Thanks. Juggling multiple time zones, man. Eventually you make a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Arizona kills me every year because they don't change times.
Yeah.
So they go from 3 to 2, and that screws me up. It screws up AWR too. He's missed an hour thinking he was calling in later because it was 3 and then it was 2. It's a mess. You are 100%, 1,000, gobzillion% correct about that. It is very refreshing. What's our time on the break?
We're close.
Coming up on the bottom of the hour already. Amazing.
30.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher wanting to let you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
Indeed. Welcome back inside Armed American Radio's Monster Cast. And I love this, the KAHR Firearms Group Studios this year. It's fantastic, and we appreciate all of our partners. This is the Leadslingers Whiskey microphone, and all this is being presented to you by X Insurance. More about that later on in the hour. I'm talking with Andrew Pollack, Parkland father. Andrew, first of all, welcome back to the show, sir. Thank you for what you do. As a father myself, I don't know how you do it, but God bless you. You have my support. Your family has my prayers always. And I can't thank you enough for doing what you're doing out there and being the voice that you are. I've really enjoyed reading your Twitter feed over the last few days and weeks. And I got to tell you, I'm nervous. I told Gottlieb in the previous hour, Andrew, very concerned about my kids' future. They're 16 and 18, and I'm worried. I'm petrified, and I can imagine you are as well.
I'm telling you, the policies that I discovered, that led up to my daughter getting killed,
right,
started with the Obama-Biden administration, and Biden already said he's going to. President Trump removed those policies from schools. He rescinded those laws. Or that he just rescinded the policies that were put out by the government. And this Biden is going to push those policies that led to my daughter getting murdered into all public schools. And he'll actually, I'm guaranteeing you, he's going to give federal funding to public schools that participate in those policies that are in my book, Why Meadow Died.
No doubt he will.
If I'm a parent now, just save your money and try and get your kids into private school, homeschool, charter school. Do not subject your children into a big failing public school. Not all of them participate, but most of the big public schools across the country are going to participate in these restorative justice programs. It's a feel-good policy for education, people that are in education. Instead of disciplining children, they'll put them into like healing circles where it doesn't work. Kids need accountability. And those policies end up with more bullying, more misdemeanors in the school, dealing drugs, because there's no consequences.
Healing
circles.
Healing circles.
That's what they did. That's what they wanted to put a deranged, demented, psycho kid that killed my daughter. They should put him in a healing circle instead of letting him get arrested and getting introduced to law enforcement where he could never purchase a rifle. Instead, a healing circle, and they let him in the school with my daughter. And there's thousands of kids like the one who killed my daughter.
There's no question about it. And let me point out, too, that Andrew is now also the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. And I want to direct you to the site at crimeresearch.org. Andrew, you have your piece up at Town Hall today, and it's a good one. And it's one that we all know is coming. And he nails it, listeners and viewers. Get ready for the Biden gun grab. And it's out today, the 10th of January, 2021, at townhall.com. But you can read it at crimeresearch.org. So let me direct you there, crimeresearch.org, because everything else that Andrew and the center does over there, you can follow along while John Lott is out. But, you know, Andrew, what you've done is you've outlined in your piece everything that I've been telling people this for the last year and a half. It's not fear-mongering when you're telling people what the other side is telling you they want to do. Everything you've laid out in your column is exactly what Biden has said he wants to do. I mean, wouldn't we be remiss to not take the man at his word?
And everyone that he surrounds himself with is saying the same thing, right? All of them. He's Beto O'Rourke, Kamala Harris. They all said it numerous times in debates. They're coming for our Second Amendment rights, the extended magazines, semi-automatic rifles that look scary. You know, they're coming for them. You know, I happen to be stocking up, me personally. Because I practice what I preach. But it's really hard getting ammo now, I'll tell you the truth, man. I bought a bunch of ammo, but the prices are through the roof.
Yeah, it's tough. I was able to pick up a box of 500 9mm for $259 plus tax. I think it was $273 or something when it was done. Just the other day, I got very, very lucky doing that at a local gun range. But it is very difficult.
What was that around?
I think it came out to about 56 cents a round or something like that. Less than 60 cents a round, somewhere around there. So
that's pretty good now.
Yeah, I got it. But you see, I can remember, Andrew, leaving my office in Tampa, Florida, and then heading down to Sports Authority at lunch when I was running my business there, and take off and do some shooting at a local range. And I'd stop at Sports Authority and pick up a 100-round box of Winchester white box for like $8.95. You know, those days are long, long gone, and not coming back.
You know who has to be hurting these gun ranges? Who's going there blowing off a few hundred rounds now when you're paying $1 a round? I'll bet you average price in the country now for 9mm up in the 70-something cents a round. I barely got some at 62 lately. So your price was great, but these gun ranges, the gun ranges have to be feeling the pain.
Well, they are, and you know it would be impossible for me to grab 1,000 rounds and go out and train for 3 days. You know, I just can't. Correct. I can't get that ammo back anytime soon, and I'm not willing to do that. So, like many others, I'm doing a lot of training at home. Andrew, I want your opinion here. And this is this is one of the fastest segments we have in the show, but I want to get your opinion relative to the piece that you wrote. In what time frame do you expect Biden to begin the gun grab and to begin implementing? Because in many cases, he has said within the first 100 days. What do you think is the time frame?
I'm saying 6 months, too. I think he's all over it. The NRA, holding gun manufacturers accountable, that's going to put a lot of them out of business. And that's what they want to do. You know, they want to hurt these type of businesses. That he said it numerous times. He's going to go after the gun manufacturers, the NRA, the large capacity magazines. So it's a big problem. If you didn't start buying, you should try and get what you can right now. You know, I have done it. Friends have done it, and they're capable of doing anything because of their policies, and they're controlling it. They control the two houses, and I think, you know, as it's going, they're going to control the White House too. So I don't hold anything past them.
No, I don't either. You can't.
No, they're capable of anything. So really, it's a time right now to take what you say seriously, and because it's coming. The Biden gun grab is definitely coming.
You know, listeners, please head over to crimeresearch.org and read Andrew's piece. It's right up in the top left. You can't miss it. It's up at townhall.com. Many of you probably subscribe to those anyway, as I do. Get some alerts on them. But at Town Hall today, gun control, and the column is titled, Get Ready for the Biden Gun Grab. Mr. Pollack, thank you. We're going to have you back on sooner rather than later. We appreciate you taking the time to jump in here. Thanks for that great piece and for the reminder. And just God bless you on behalf of myself, my family, and all of our listeners around the country for what you do in defense of freedom and for gun rights after everything that you and your family have been through. Thank you, sir, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, and I know I'm speaking for my listeners as well.
Oh, thanks so much, Mark. It means a lot to me to be a voice of common sense.
Thank God you are there. Thank God you are there. Andrew Pollack, Parkland father. And Andrew, you'll hear him back on the program here in the near future. In the meantime, make sure to visit crimeresearch.org, read his piece, and donate to them. I know we need the help. We've got to band together. I'll be back with AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News right after this. Don't go away. Hi, it's Mark Walters, your host of Armed American Radio. If your company sells only the highest quality products and you're looking for a way to reach these listeners, you're talking to the right guy. Armed American Radio has a package available to fit every budget, from startup to the seasoned advertiser looking for that perfect way to reach this massive audience on roughly 250 stations in the top markets in the nation. We're everywhere, and the show continues to explode across the country after 10 years. Together, we can help you reach a highly engaged and extremely knowledgeable audience. To hear your brand on this huge radio program for less than you ever thought possible and to speak directly with me, reach out to CCW Broadcast Media LLC right away at mark@armedamericanradio.org. mark@armedamericanradio.org. And together, we'll bring your brand to Armed American Radio listeners and keep this powerful voice for gun rights on the airwaves. Again, to speak directly to me, reach out to me at mark@armedamericanradio.org. That's mark@armedamericanradio.org.
It's the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Needs. I'm Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. When someone says we don't need that kind of gun,
hey, Greg,
remind them the Founding Fathers...
I'm going to send you the audio clip of that that Second Amendment spot.
All right.
And we're going to replace one of the SAF spots that's in it, probably the one that's running right now, and replace it with this 1-minute audio clip. I'll get it over to you tomorrow.
All right.
I've got to put a couple more in for the daytime show, too, and get caught up on some of that stuff.
Cool.
So I was walking through the grocery store today, and my daughter was with me, and she was just kind of hanging out with us. We ran some errands. We went to Home Depot to get the one more 2x6, 8-foot 2x6 we needed for the foundation for the Armed American Radio new studio. It's complete now. We're just simply waiting for the construction team to get out on the 1st of February. So that's kind of cool. We're walking through Home Depot. My daughter says, "Do we have to have a mask on?" I said, "Oh, please." So we walked through and got the piece of wood and we left. And then we went to Publix grocery store where my son was working. He has to wear a mask in there. Her and I walk in and, you know, she's got her mask on and I don't. And she goes, "I feel stupid in my mask." I said, "Well, take it off." And as we were walking around, one of the managers came over and said, "Do you guys need masks?" I said, No, we're okay. We got them." And he just went on his way. And a couple seconds later, I blurted it out loud just to embarrass my daughter. I started, "Bah, bah, 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 bah," through the halls. My daughter was about ready to walk away from me and leave. 18 years old, when you can still embarrass your kid, you know you're having fun.
Nice.
She's like, "Oh, my God, stop it, stop it, stop it." Sounded like Goat Boy on Saturday Night Live, if you remember those days.
Yes. Got AWR.
Good deal. I was not quiet with my baz either.
We're close.
YOLO, that's a good point, YOLO. I don't have the answer to some of you guys that are asking these questions. We'll be talking about it during the week.
Here we go. 30.
This segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by Mike Lindell and MyPillow. Don't forget to use the promo code AAR at MyPillow.com. Welcome back. Welcome back indeed. No face diapers for Annette Jacobs. No face diapers for Annette Jacobs. She knows what I'm talking about. If you're watching the live stream, you can jump in the comments section and have some fun. I'm able to scroll down there during the breaks and see most of everything that you guys are putting in there, and I love that. No face diapers for Annette. Thank you, Annette. God bless you. Face diapers, isn't that something? Boy, what a hot hour and a half of Armed American Radio already with Alan Gottlieb and Andrew Pollack. Just incredible stuff. And now, as somebody in the comment section said, as we get ready to bust out this half hour, the backside of the show. Boy, I'll tell you, on the Leadslingers mic, presented by X Insurance in the Car Firearms Group studio. How cool is that? AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News, our good friend. AWR, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Great to be with you.
Always a pleasure to be with you, my friend. How can a lone gunman in a gun-controlled city like Chicago get away with killing an absolutely violent, I can't even put my finger on this rampage in Chicago. It should never happen, particularly in a city that has that much gun control. Maybe they need more.
Yeah, that's how they're going to look at it. But it's crazy. What's crazy is he went back. He returned to at least one of the places where he had first shot some people. So, I mean, this guy was, I don't know, not the brightest bulb in the house, but he was determined. And what it teaches me more than anything is that lesson we've talked about again and again. You have got to be ready. I mean, he killed one woman in IHOP. He killed an individual who was sitting in a car in a parking garage. He shot and killed another individual in a business. He shot some people while they were just riding in a car. I don't know that you can ever be ready for that. But people have to come to grips with the fact that evil is real, that evil exists. And whether you like it or not, really, the only thing you can do to curtail evil at some point is be ready to shoot back or shoot first if they're getting ready to shoot you. And that requires you to have a firearm with you. And you just got to think that way in this world. You just do.
No, AWR Hawkins is spot on. I hope you're listening carefully. This is a topic that we have talked about many, many, many times with AWR over the years, and we're going to do it again because we're on it now. But that's the topic of evil. Because if you deny evil's existence, evil's more than likely going to find you. Because evil seeks people out who deny its existence. In other words, AWR, you tell me if you disagree, let me know, but I think you're on the same page with me on this. But if you're that person walking around that it ain't going to happen to me, or I live on the right side of the tracks, or I live in a gated community, or, it happens to the other guy, that evil's eventually going to find that person, is it not?
Yeah, it's going to find us all at some point in some way. And yeah, gated communities don't matter. I hate to say what I'm going to say, but look at the Parkland school shooting. I know you just had Andrew on, who's a great guy, absolutely great guy. And Parkland had an armed guard there. They had all the things that we would push for. I still support armed guards, don't get me wrong. But they made it past the armed guard, and then they killed 17 people. And so even when you're in that position where you think, okay, now I'm safe, it's ultimately still in your hands. And when they get past the resource officer, the teacher needs to be armed because the teacher is the one who can save those kids. When they get past the front of the Capitol or they overrun the Capitol Police, well, the congressmen need to be armed. And some of them were.
Yeah, some were.
And that was a great example because you'll have these people who are not really pro-police, but they're pro-police if it keeps from arming teachers. They'll say, well, we'll get a guard with guns and we'll be good. Well, that's not enough. That's one layer.
Mm-hmm.
But you need complementary layers, and you need a layer in case of emergency. And in an emergency, they get past that one armed person. Teachers need to be armed. And my point in all this is that even if you're in a place you consider the safest place, even if you're in a city in America that has had over the years gun control that exceeds other cities, even if it is Chicago, one gunman who wants to kill some folks is going to wound 6 and kill 4. He's going to wound 2 and kill 4. And it's just how it's going to work. And you got to be ready to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the moral to all of this is that evil acts at a time and place of its choosing. You don't get to decide. You've got to be prepared as you possibly can be. And, the worst part about it is evil's going to get the jump. And, it happens. And if it does happen, you can't, no matter how ready you are, you can still get bushwhacked. Let's go back to the Capitol because you mentioned some of the reps were armed. One of the reps that's been on this program before, Thomas Massey, is the subject of your piece. Thomas Massey. Several of us, quote unquote, were glad to be armed while barricaded, and I love this statement from him. Following the riotous events, Massey tweeted, quoting, "The next member who argues congressmen shouldn't be allowed to carry firearms at work needs to be laughed out of the Capitol." And then he added, "Several of us were glad to be armed while barricaded for hours in our offices with our staff." It just, Representative Lauren Boebert, of course, and we're working to get her on the program, said the Second Amendment is more important now than ever before, but the far left wants to take it away. Representative Thomas Massey and I are fighting back. We just launched the Second Amendment Caucus, which we will be co-chairing to fight for your constitutional rights. Now, AWR, there's a lot going on in what I just said from your story, but let's start with Representative Massey. Obviously, he gets it.
Yeah, when it comes to the Second Amendment, he's been a staunch supporter and defender for years. He's from Kentucky, and of course that gives us a kindred spirit. But even besides that, he's been right there. And Boebert, as you say, Boebert's coming in on fire. I mean, he's coming in trying to draw attention, trolling the Democrats, mocking them, making videos about carrying her Glock in D.C. for self-defense. And what's ironic is it was just January 3rd that she posted a video talking about why she needs to carry a gun in D.C. 3 days later, they were all barricaded in their offices. And so her point was made. And it goes to that point we were making a while ago, too. Evil will find you.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't care if you're an elected official living in a place, working in a place like Capitol Hill, where if you've ever tried to get in Capitol, one of those buildings up there, you know what kind of security we're dealing with.
Right.
You're still ultimately, your safety is in your own hands.
Yeah, no matter what happens, because when the system breaks down, and it breaks down from time to time, we're watching the American system break down right before our eyes. It's happening. To deny that is to deny evil exists. I mean, so yes, these things can happen. I forget who said this, but a very, very profound. Do you remember that feeling you had when the second airplane hit the second tower in New York, and you realized right then and there what was happening? That's the feeling you should have in your stomach right now today. Very profound words indeed, and I know many of you do. I know I do, because I get it. But it's going to be interesting to see Boebert and to see the Democrats, because they will argue again. You see, here's the thing, though. They believe, the Capitol Police have guns, and no doubt there's Democrats there that will probably still want to carry a gun, but they won't say it publicly because of their party platform, AWR. It's really a joke. When we come back, we've got another segment with AWR Hawkins, but there's a couple issues I want to talk about with him. Nearly 23 million firearms were sold during 2020, and of course he wrote about it. And also, one of the, who was it? Representative Troy Nehls, a Republican from Texas, has quite the story about being in the Capitol when he pulled a wooden leg from a table to defend himself at the Capitol. I bet he changes tools after this. But we're going to talk with AWR Hawkins. We'll get in as many of his headlines as we can in the final segment of this hour. Second hour, flying right by. Armed American Radio's Monstercast continues across the country. We'll be back with AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News. Don't go away. Man, how are we time-wise? This hour's flying by.
Oh, we've still got about 30 seconds. Shit. Blew past it.
Hey, this final segment of Armed American Radio is being sponsored by Crossbreed Holsters. Make sure to visit crossbreedholsters.com. Now let's get back to me. All right, back to me it is. Crossbreed Holsters is sponsoring this segment, and I want to ask you now to please make sure to visit all of our sponsors. You can see them all at armedamericanradio.org. I do want to make mention of two things quickly, because the Force Center and Tradecraft Range are holding a Florida Firearms Industry Range Expo, FIRE, F-I-R-E, January 22nd to the 24th at the Force Center in Immokalee, Florida. Now, it just turns out that X Insurance has an office down in Naples, and X and I are going to fly down there, and I'm going to broadcast from that facility down there for a couple days and pick up a whole bunch of cool interviews to be able to bring you from that Force Center and Tradecraft Range at the Firearms, or the Florida Firearms Industry Range Expo. That's running January 22nd to the 21st, but I'll be flying down on the 21st, coming back on the 25th. Be bringing you the show on Sunday from Naples just because we can, but we're going to team up with X. Now, I'm going to kind of segue that into something we're going to be doing, because Front Sight, by the way, frontsight.com/Mark. Make sure to go check out frontsight.com/Mark. We are going to be putting together a really cool event at Front Sight in the near future. Wanted to do something at the end of the month, but the logistics were just so tough to do because of the holidays and, shot not being available and everything. So it was kind of tough. So we've decided to move that to the second quarter. I will keep you posted on all of that. In the meantime, please support frontsight.com. Visit frontsight.com/Mark. All you have to do when you do that, Dr. Piazza will tell you how to get the free certificate. You can use it. You can do whatever you want with it. Just visit frontsight.com/Mark and watch the video with Dr. Piazza, and get the certificate. And guess what happens? It doesn't cost you a penny, and Armed American Radio is supported through this. These voice stays out on the airwaves in these very difficult, perilous times. I'm not too proud to tell you that we need all the help we can get. And if all the help requires is to get the free certificate from Dr. Piazza at Front Sight, my gosh, please do it, and please help us. We need that assistance. Also, trumpsarmy.us. Trumpsarmy.us is something else that Dr. Piazza is doing. And we'll talk about other sponsors when we come back in the next hour. Let's go back to AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News. AWR, I got to go back quickly to Representative Lauren Boebert for just a minute. You were talking about her trolling the Dems, and I love it. She's trolling them about her Glock. You've written about it. And she's quoted as saying, I'm not going to let a bunch of gun grabbers intimidate me in Congress. I'm not going to let, and I quote, a bunch of gun grabbers win. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I like her. I mean, I've talked to her. I did an exclusive interview with her, I think, on December 23rd. And she just, she's the kind of person that you want there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why, not just because of her gun convictions, but because of her view of her office and the purpose of it. Because I always do this when I speak with a representative or a senator for the first time. I said, how would you like me to address you? She goes, Lauren.
Right.
Lauren. there are some people, names won't be said, to whom I've spoke, that while I speak to them, they want to be addressed as Senator such and such or just Lauren. And, you know, you're just like, this woman is exactly what we need. And we need 100 of her.
Right.
But at least we got her. At least we got Massey. We've got others who are going to align with them, some of whom will maybe never identify themselves or make a big deal out of it. But, you know, you got to remember, that's the one thing I still remember in that election is Republicans made serious gains in the House, and a lot of those people that won are people who are more than Republican. They're conservative.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need.
Let me give a couple. Let's. How about we cover a couple happy ending stories? How about we close out this segment, the final segment of Hour 2 of Armed American Radio, with these headlines? They just give me goosebumps, goose pimples. Alleged intruder shot, killed 3 days after being released from jail. What? Tell me what happened here, please.
I didn't aim to laugh. I just can't believe it. I mean, 3 days, and about 12:16 a.m. Friday, this individual apparently beat on the door a while, and then came through a window allegedly. And the homeowner figured out what was going on and grabbed a shotgun. I should say the resident grabbed the shotgun and shot the guy once. You know, with a shotgun up close, that's going to get it done. And that's it. But I don't know what to say. I mean, I've said for years, at some point I feel like, especially in a state like Oklahoma, and I'm saying that in a positive way, Oklahoma is one of those states where you can defend your life. And in a state like Oklahoma, what in the world is going through your head that you will climb through the window of somebody else's house? I can't figure that out. You're just asking for it, and this guy got it.
After getting out of jail. Again.
After getting out of jail.
One of the dimmest bulbs in the knife drawer. Get it? You know, sharpest knives in the drawer. We combine the two sayings. He's a dimmest bulb in the knife drawer. Get how that works? You Democrats won't figure it out, but that's okay. It's not meant for you. The alleged, I mean, just the headline itself, alleged intruder shot, killed 3 days after being released from jail. I mean, you know, a certain level of stupidity here, a certain level. Wonder how he votes. Oh, he can't vote. He's a felon. Oh, he probably voted in the last election from prison. Now, you have another one in here as well, too. And I love these. This is from the 5th, but that's going back because we got you on the show now the week ago. Amarillo homeowner opens fire, kills two burglary suspects.
And if I remember right, one of these suspects was either 43 or 47 years old. And I know it sounds like a cliche, because it is, but he's old enough to know better.
Yeah.
Wait, you're 40-something years old, and you're breaking in a house? I mean, and I believe on that story, Mark, what happened is the police rolled up, and the two guys were lying in the driveway.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that means after being shot they tried to escape and both collapsed, or if the fight was at the front door. But what happened is the homeowner got in a fight with one of them, trying to get him out of the house, and then the other one began to attack too. And that's the point at which the homeowner opened fire. And that is when they pulled the curtain on those two fellas, and that's that.
Well, here's what I hope happened. Because I can say this because it's my own show. I hope they made it to the driveway and then fell down.
Right.
Here's why. Because when you attempt to deprive another human being, an American citizen, of their right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, you lose your right to all three of the above instantly. And whatever happens to you, up to and including your own death, as a result of someone defending themselves against your attempt to deprive them of their right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, means you've earned everything you got. This kid hopes it hurt. And I hope you enjoy the ride. AWR Hawkins, thank you for bringing happy ending stories to us. Thank you for all the coverage you do. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News. Just Google him. He's out there. He's also the 2020 Gun Rights Defender of the Year Award recipient, given out by an organization that I am on a member of the board of directors of, the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, and over at the Second Amendment Foundation, all head up by Alan Gottlieb. Thanks, AWR, for everything you bring to the table every single week, brother. A classic Armed American Radio Roundtable next. After this week, and one of the attendees at the table was in D.C. for the rally. We'll tell you all about it when we come back on Armed American Radio's Monster Cast. Make sure to check out all of our sponsors during the break, would you? We'll be back right after this with the roundtable.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, good stuff. I'll be back in just a moment.
All right.
Okay, John Korzenowski, but hey, bud, nah, I ain't got that in me right now. Although I gotta be honest with you, believe it or not, there was discussion about governor for Georgia. There was actually what was in the very early beginnings of doing a tour, a 2-week, if you will, fact-finding tour on a tour bus, running for Georgia governor on the Second Amendment. In what would have been the election that Kemp eventually won. And I believe you're going to see a one-term governor there. But that had happened before. But if we do that, then we have to stop broadcasting. So, yeah, I'm not interested in that at this stage of the game. Kevin, AWR needs a seat at the round table. He does from time to time, but we give him, he's a long time, we give him the slots that he wants. And that's pretty cool. He generally takes it. He likes to be solo on there. We never have enough time to cover everything with him anyway. Robin, got to have a fast draw, brother. Yeah, you do, man. There's nothing wrong with your watch, Martin. Fastest show on radio, 250 stations around the country, and it's just flies right by. Yeah, Dubes, AWR is a powerhouse, no question about it. Guys, we're going to get some cold water over here and freshen up and get ready for the roundtable to jump in. Neil McCabe, Brad Premo, of course, CEO of Leadslingers, and obviously Justin Moon, CEO of KAHR Arms. This is the KAHR Firearms Group Studios, and Justin was there. If you missed the daytime program on Friday when he called in, you're going to get a version. And of course, Neil McCabe was there also. So Brad and I will be the outsiders relative to that, but I'm looking forward to the conversation. But keep in mind, guys, Gottlieb and I were talking about this off air. It's take this back over. Gottlieb and I were talking about this off air earlier today. We talk a lot, several times a day for the most part. This was not a pro-gun rally, okay? It was not something. I wasn't there. Do they go hand in hand? No, they really don't. I mean, take a look at what happened in Richmond, Virginia, and take a look at what happened. Yes, of course, most everybody that's conservative is there is a gun rights supporter, of course, but it was not a pro-gun specific rally. So, anyway, when we come back from the break, the roundtable, we're going to kick it into high gear. Got everybody at the table yet?
Gang's all here.
Roger that. The band's back together. Give me that 30 cue. I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right, we're close. 30.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the KAHR Firearms Studio.
Mark, we know they want to take our guns, and now we're going to make them eat it.
It's 2021. We're in a new decade.
Freedom might be an uphill battle sometimes, but freedom will always prevail.
Proudly presented to you by X Insurance. X Insurance. On the Leadslingers microphone. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Indeed, welcome inside Armed American Radio's Monster Cast KAHR Firearms Group Studios on the Leadslingers Whiskey microphone. You know what's fun? Both the CEO of KAHR Firearms Group, and the CEO of Leadslingers join us in the roundtable every week, and they're here again today too. And all of this is brought to you today, presented to you by X Insurance, a far superior product to anything that you think you might have. It's time to get real out there, okay? These are perilous times. I don't need to tell you that. We are living through something none of us ever thought we would see in America. Get the coverage you need for your life, your freedom, I should say, okay? All the coverage for your CCW, your law enforcement, if you're law enforcement, if you carry a gun for work, if you carry it just for CCW purposes as a civilian, X has you covered. They'll write you policies up to $10 million, up to no exclusions, whatever you want. They'll cover gaps in your homeowners that your homeowners won't cover for you because it's a real insurance company. It's not third-party stuff. Grow up to real products, okay? This is real life we're talking about now. You know, kind of like when we had AWR in the last segment. Guy was 47 years old. He should know better. So should you. You carry the best for your homes, your cars, your boats, your toys, whatever it may be, your life, your health. Do the same thing when your freedom's on the line. That's why X Insurance has taken the firearms industry by storm. And, you know, we have I had a new little motto when I opened up the previous hour. Annette Jacobs doesn't wear a face diaper. What do I mean by that? She's commenting in the comment sections over there. If you want to watch the program, Facebook.com, live over there, Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. You can catch it on YouTube. We're doing the multiple streams. As long as they will have us in their big tech platforms, we're going to continue to talk about them over there as the monopolist punks and thugs that they are until they cut us off. And at some point in time, they will. No question about it, because why do they care about what it's free speech, right? The right to keep and bear arms. They don't like that stuff. They've throttled us before. What a mess of a week. Let's get started. The roundtable begins right now. Who's up first? I saw Brad Premo first pop in there, so let's go to Brad Premo, CEO, Leadslingers Whiskey. Brad, how the heck are you?
Doing pretty good, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm depressed, brother, and we're going to talk about it during the hour today. Okay, we had a fantastic conversation with Alan Gottlieb, who was absolutely, you know, as I would expect from Alan, but to be, you know, honest with you, it was uplifting as it could be. in the face of some very difficult times this country is facing. Next up there is Neil McCabe. I see Neil, AAR Washington, D.C. correspondent for many years, a fellow at the Gold Institute, and also a writer over there at the Tennessee Daily Star. Neil, how are you?
Well, I'm trying to be positive as best I can.
I know.
I'm not depressed. I am disappointed with a lot of people who I thought had some backbone, and they don't.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about all of that. And Neil, you were in Washington, D.C. during the rally a few days ago, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Now, right here on the screen, if you're watching, that was Justin Moon, CEO of KAHR Firearms Group. This is the KAHR Firearms Group studios. Justin, welcome inside, my friend. You were there. You were boots on the ground. You called us Friday, or after the rally, you called us. And here you are today. Have your thoughts changed at all since we spoke last on the radio about what went on in D.C. and what you were part of?
I'm glad you asked me because I had a chance to review and I had to reflect and think about it. And I'm coming to the conclusion that this rally on the 6th was so historical and so important and so critical for the future of the country because I'm thinking that this is like the Boston Tea Party. You know, when we study history and we look at the Boston Tea Party, immediately after the Boston Tea Party happened, even George Washington and Benjamin Franklin condemned it. And then after the Boston Tea Party, the British Crown, they did the coercive acts. You know, they basically closed the Boston Harbor until they were repaid for the tea. You know, they suspended the Massachusetts Constitution, and they quartered their soldiers in the houses of the Bostonian citizens, as well as other things. And the effect of that was that it did not crush the spirit of the American people, but it actually encouraged them to resist at an even more fervent level. So if I think about it, what do you expect the American people to do if you steal their presidential election? What do you expect? I mean, I think what we saw on the 6th was a natural expression of what would happen for doing such a large criminal act. So that's the way I'm thinking historically right now.
What a great way to put that in perspective because, and again, listeners, Justin was there. He was boots on the ground. I've got a photograph that was sent to me, Justin, and I'm going to send a copy of it to you guys maybe during a break, from Tony Darling, our good friend over at Vault Pro out in California, who was there with a group of patriots. And again, keep in mind, there were hundreds of thousands of people there. So here you've got mainstream media, New York Times in particular, Washington Post, ABC, NBC, so that you can CBS, the rest of them, and Fox too, doing the same thing. The way they're wording their stories now is very disappointing. But they're also, they're all driving this narrative now, and that train is that, all rally, whole rally was bad when it was a handful of people, and I'd venture to say the vast majority didn't even know what was happening because they weren't close enough. But nonetheless, I've got a picture that was just so beautiful of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people at the Washington Monument in the background. It was really a sight to behold. But let's go now to Brad Premo. Brad, you heard what Justin had to say. This is our first opportunity to get commentary from you about what happened. And I'm going to start, when we're done with you, I'm going to go to Neil, and we're going to kind of talk about how he's trying to stay positive and kind of take that around the table. Go ahead, Brad.
So, I mean, I appreciate, Justin's insight and opinion. And, I think that's probably the most positive opinion I've heard. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I did not feel good knowing what was going on. We'll see what the reaction is, but as it stands now, I think the people who broke into the Capitol building, whatever their intent was, as it stands now, I think it was a huge strategic error. We'll see. The immediate after effect is we're going to be dealing with probably the most crushing gun control we've seen ever. I wouldn't be surprised if there's another Patriot Act on steroids coming our way. There's already bills waiting to be filed, for ammunition and everything else. And now we've all been labeled terrorists. If you look at the language they're using, they're not calling these guys protesters, they're now insurrectionists.
Right.
Even though, what they did was probably nowhere near as bad or as costly as what we saw over the summer with, Black Lives Matter and Antifa riots, burning down police stations. Those are also government buildings that were invaded and destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
So really what we're looking at is, if, this other party wants to preach unity and all this good stuff. Well, I mean, right now would be a great time to start taking some of the heat out of the rhetoric and stop making people feel like we have a giant target painted on our backs, because that sure is what it feels like right now. And the worse it keeps going, the more it keeps going, the more pushback there's going to be, and this is not going to get any better.
Is demoralizing a word to use?
I don't know. I don't think I'd call it demoralized. I think if it was demoralized, I'd be questioning my beliefs.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I haven't questioned a thing about what I believe. I still believe what I believe, and I have no problem standing for it. I just know that it may cost me something now.
Interesting perspective. Neil, I've only got about a minute with you here in this, and I want to hear your perspective on what Justin said and Brad's response to it, and about how you're doing the best to stay positive. And I want to say this in the, just to be transparent, in the era of transparency. You and I had a text exchange back and forth that we won't discuss on the radio, but nonetheless to say, both of us are very, very concerned about what we're witnessing when you see the breakdown, if you will, of the First Amendment openly being cheered by people like Ocasio-Cortez, right? It's heartbreaking, to say the least, but also incredibly dangerous. Now, Neil, we're gonna take a break. I know he's gonna be in my ear here in just 1 second. That pesky producer down there in Dallas, his name is Greg. He just makes time fly so fast. So bear with me for just a second. When we come back from the break, I want to talk with you a little bit about that and get your perspective as a long time, I'll say commentator, pundit from Washington about Washington. Neil McCabe will join us when we come back, and we're going to continue the conversation going around the table. Don't go away. Greg, did you know you were pesky now?
I assumed. We're close.
All right.
$30.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher wanting to let you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
Indeed, welcome back inside Armed American Radio's Monster Cast. KAHR Firearms Group Studios on the Leadslingers microphone. Of course, I am Mark Walters. I'm filling your prescription for freedom across the country today on hundreds of radio stations and whatever other platforms you're using nowadays to get the program. Thank you very much for being here. Live streaming on YouTube and Facebook right now. If you want to check out the live streams, YouTube, just visit Mark Walters, Armed American Radio. You'll find me in there. You can check out the feed. Also, Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. If you'd like to do that, you can watch the broadcast as long as they'll have us there. And all of this is being presented to you by X Insurance. X Insurance. Make sure to check out xinsurance.com. Get yourself a free quote over there on setting yourself up on a real insurance policy. Let's go over to Neil McCabe, longtime contributor. Neil, we got some folks in the comment section talking about hoping you name names, hoping you're angry enough to start naming some names. And I want to hear about your level of disappointment. I want your commentary on what Justin said, Brad's response. Take it away, brother.
Yeah, first of all, let me just say that, about a month ago, I found out that there was a California city councilor whose girlfriend was a Chinese spy, and she raised money for him and helped him get elected to Congress. She continued to raise money for him as a congressman, even after he was sitting on the House Intelligence Committee. She continued to be intimate with this man until the FBI tapped him on the shoulder. When Speaker Pelosi was asked, hey, Congressman Swalwell on the House Intel Committee was having sex with a Chinese spy who was financing and organizing his campaigns, and he's sitting on the Intel Committee, Pelosi said, I have no worries about him. And that was the end of the story. Mm-hmm. He is still around. He is still taunting people, and he will be in this session of Congress. He will continue to sit on the House Intel Committee. Now, that's because Pelosi knows how to keep her cool. Pelosi is a tough bird. We don't have any tough birds in the Republican Party, okay? President Donald Trump won Wyoming with 70% of the vote. The congressman at large for Wyoming is Liz Cheney, who is number 3 in the House leadership. She's the head of the Republican conference. She has been anti-Trump from day one. And it's like she is now like leading the charge to throw this guy out of office. Mitch McConnell, he just got reelected. Well, it's like Trump won with like 62% of the vote, right? Kevin McCarthy, the Republican leader in the House, now Trump got about 32% of the vote in California. but he won in Kern County, which is McCarthy's county, which is basically Bakersfield, California. And it's like there's tremendous resilience in the Trump base, and people who are panicking and running for the lifeboats and diming out their neighbors. It's almost like the Red Guard with the kids diming out their parents for being counter-revolutionaries. And it's like when this whole thing settles and we actually look at what happened on January 6th at the Capitol and we put it into perspective, it's not going to be perceived the way it is being perceived today. And people's feelings about Trump are not going to be the same as they're being ginned up right now. And it's amazing to me that you can go from 0 to 60 for impeachment on this when I had to endure all sorts of things under the Obama administration, which were just like whatever. And so I think that a little concerned that Justin is sort of working my side of the street using some colonial revolutionary history examples. A little.
That's quite the compliment, Justin.
That's like a shot across my bow. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that, Justin. All right. You're not the only one who could do some show prep. Okay. But with what Brad's talking about is Brad is like struggling with it. I think, I don't want to speak for the guy, but I just heard him on the radio, and I think he's struggling with the exact same things that you and me and everyone else is struggling with. Do I want a crowd of Trump supporters to crash the gates at the Capitol and terrorize people and chase police officers? I do not. That was not my plan. That was not what I thought was going on. I was outside the Capitol. I didn't understand that wasn't what I told people to do. However, I think that it speaks to a frustration. Am I glad that a bunch of congressmen and senators have the idea that the Trump supporters are angry? Yeah. Do I think it's a good idea to then suppress their speech and to fire them and to make sure that they can't work? And to, it's like we had a courthouse. There's a courthouse in Portland, Oregon, federal courthouse, the Mark Hatfield Courthouse, which was terrorized and seized for months, right? Where are those trials, right? There are people who firebombed police stations, right? There are people who beat cops, there are videos of people getting beaten by Antifa and BLM people. None of them, where are those trials, right? I mean, it's like wholesale pardons. Some of these left-wing prosecutors have just said, we're not prosecuting any of them. If any of them were being prosecuted, then you had celebrities raising money to get them out of jail and put them on bail. So, all right. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I don't want to do what about this, what about that. Was it wrong to crash the gates? Yes.
Of course.
Was it? Of course. It's like should police officers be respected? Of course.
Right.
What are we talking about? Of course. However, I do have to understand that this was a bigger event, it's more meta, and I think that's really what Justin was saying. This event is much more meta than something that's going to happen like today and tomorrow. This is like something that'll be in the history books. Yeah. And what people have to ask is, why are these people so angry, instead of saying, I wish you would just behave and shut up, or we'll take away your free speech and all your rights?
All right, let me answer that and go to Justin on this, because there's a congresswoman by the name of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who was a broke, out-of-work bartender prior to rising to fame in her district in New York. Here's what she had to say on Twitter. The elected officials who amplified and repeated known lies about our elections served as drum corps to insurrectionists. The drum major in the House was at GOP leader Kevin McCarthy. Representative McCarthy bears unique elevated responsibility. In all this chaos, he must resign. Now, you know who liked that tweet? Predictably, Kathy Griffin, that loser, phony comedian, washed up, whatever she is, holding up Trump's severed head, and the Lincoln Project, built off of a bunch of rhino establishment Republicans. and they're liking Ocasio-Cortez's verbiage. When we come back, we're going right to Justin because I want to know what he thinks. Justin, just give you the question up front. When you hear Ocasio-Cortez and the lunatic fringe left that she attracts,
15.
she's a socialist. And now the Lincoln Project likes it too? Where the hell are we? Back with Justin right after this. CEO of KAHR Arms, by the way. Bottom of the hour already of hour number 3.
Yep.
That's crazy.
We're close.
Roger that. Closer than you think, dude.
And 30.
This segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by Mike Lindell and MyPillow. Don't forget to use the promo code AAR at MyPillow.com. Welcome back. Welcome back for sure. You know, the MyPillow thing, it has amazed me and fascinated me I met Mike Lindell. He co-hosted the show with me from the Minnesota State Fair about 3 years ago. In fact, I think it was 2 years ago. It was the last fair that we went to because you guys up at 1280, The Patriot, love you in Minnesota. It was our 9th year in a row there. And there was no booth that year. And then, of course, COVID knocked us out of line. But the last broadcast we did there, Mike Lindell sat down with us, actually flew his jet from a Trump rally in the Dakotas to get to us at Minnesota in time. And God bless the man. He is unbelievable. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that we would see what's happening in this country include a guy like Mike Lindell, an American businessman who's being demonized by his fellow countrymen simply for creating hundreds of jobs, providing tax base. It's remarkable to me what's happening. And we're going to ask everybody here at the table a question at the end that's going to be uncomfortable. It's not designed to be that way. It's just where we are today because the answers are uncomfortable, I think. But Mike Lindell, he supports this. He supports the right to bear arms. He supported Trump. And you know, it's bigger. It's bigger than the man. It's the agenda. That's one thing that's overlooked by the mainstream press. That's what millions upon millions of Americans are so pissed off about is the agenda. It's not, and the media makes it all about one man. Nonetheless, support him. Use the promo code AAR. He supports us, okay? All right. Justin Moon, CEO of KAHR Arms. Welcome back, brother. You know, Justin, let me just turn it back over to you. As we were talking about before, you heard what Neil had to say, and now I want you to take the opportunity to respond, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, if you label 75 million people as insurgents, and you censor them and you deny them their right to speak and their right to vote and right to have their opinions heard and acted on and be represented, I think you're going to turn those 75 million people into insurgents and revolutionaries, and that's exactly what you're going to get. And, you know, that's what happened that's what happened after the Boston Tea Party, after 1773 in December when it happened. You know, short 2 years later in 75, you had Lexington and Concord. Well, when they came for the gun. So. Yeah,
and let's go to that. Let's go back to that AOC tweet, okay, where you have AOC. I mean, just a flagrant idiot. She's an idiot. She's a moron. You know, this is a person who turned away 20,000 six-figure jobs in her district. I mean, she's just an idiot. But she's now calling for it, and she's got millions of followers on social media. I think we're going to find out in the near run that fake cyber crap is going to be short-lived. I don't think real life can continue to go the way it's going. We're going to have to get back to real life. And I think it's going to be our side that pushes it back to real life when we take it back. And I mean that by the sense that we're just not going to put up with these people canceling us. I don't think that's going to happen. But she's going after now, okay, a GOP leader, Kevin McCarthy, and Kathy Griffin, that lunatic loser, and the Lincoln Project, supposed to be conservative. You know, picture National Review and what's his face that runs that place over there. You know, how do we get here? How in the world did we get here? Justin, that one's for you.
Good question, Mark. I mean, I think the way we got here was because, you know, Americans are very reasonable people. We're very patient. We want to see the law and order, and we want to see the Constitution succeed. And so, you know, as we've been having our rights trampled on the last 40 years, we just kept eating. We really didn't push back that hard. But I think those 75 million voters who voted for Trump are at the end of their rope. They've been pushed so far that they can't be pushed anymore. And if you push them anymore, they're gonna express themselves like they expressed themselves on the 6th. It's gonna become more and more aggressive and more explosive. So if you come at them with the notion that they're insurgents or revolutionaries, you're going to get a revolution.
And you know, let me say this. Let me take this opportunity to say this before I go to Brad. There's comments coming in here. Mark says Justin nails it again. J.E. says bullseye, Justin. So you're getting comments on that right now, and I think it's important to point out that when you have Democrat politicians like this lunatic socialist Ocasio-Cortez, Let's go over to you, Brad. Pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. This is not unity. This we'll call her chumpette. Hope that's offensive to her. Meant to be. She's not interested in unity. She hates your guts. She wants to cancel you, fire you, step on you, and dare I say, I don't think she'd be concerned if you got hurt physically. Not when I see the rhetoric like this coming from these people. And at some point in time, this is going to turn into a street brawl. Brad, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, let me back up for a second. I mean, I think that Justin actually did just hit the nail on the head. I mean, you start treating me like a felon, I might start acting like one. You start treating me like I'm an insurgent, I might start acting like one. And, this AOC, she's a communist. She can talk the talk, but thing is, like, the way we got here is because typically people who are fat and happy don't fight against their government. In this country, we've been blessed with decades and decades of economic success, a relatively wealthy and robust middle class in this country that's much better off than the middle class in almost any other place in the world. As long as you have that, you typically don't have civil unrest. But I think this is where we're going to see the double-edged sword of social media coming in, because, like, even though, like, we're not losing our houses yet, we're not losing our jobs, we're still putting food on the table, we watch football and drink beer all day on the weekends. We're seeing things on social media. We're seeing two different justice systems for the elite and us. We're seeing Democrat privilege. We feel like we have a bullseye on our back. And so even though we have all these things that typically prevent people from going off the reservation, we're getting pushed off the reservation because we can see how we're being treated each and every day. We can see how we don't have the privilege of being able to, date a Chinese spy for years, get elected to office, get a nice paycheck while we're shutting down everybody else's business and starving them out and making them lose their livelihood. And then we get a pension on top of it for being, probably the most punchable person in the country, Eric Swalwell. So I want that kind of privilege. And if I can't have it, then you can't have it either. And so, we are being pushed. We got pushed all summer. I remember even Neil saying on this show over the summer, like, how much do they think the American people are going to take? How many times do you punch them in the mouth before they stand up and punch back? And we're getting very, very close to that point.
And that's true in any aspect of life. Let me point that out. If you walk into a bar and Bozo A is there constantly and doesn't like you and constantly steps on your foot and elbows you on his way to the bathroom day after day after day, eventually you're going to drop him, okay? Eventually this is what's going to happen. In the political left, I've been saying it on the show for a dozen years. Neil, you've been a part of this. Well said, by the way, Justin. Neil, you've been a part of this program since almost its inception, and you have heard me repeatedly say, if this doesn't stop, Americans are going to have to make very difficult decisions. That I opened up the program today, Neil, stating unequivocally that we're not almost there. We're there. We are there. People are going to have to make decisions they never thought they'd have to make along many, many avenues in their lives, Neil. Take it away from what you just heard.
Well, there's this concept of restraint. They talk about it in the military, and they talk about it in law enforcement. And, one of the hallmarks of disciplined troops or disciplined law enforcement is their restraint and their ability, their resilience to just sort of hang in there, let the moment pass, don't make a mistake. And I think the restraint of the Trump supporters is over.
Funny.
And it's not just Trump supporters. I want to make this very clear. It's not Trump supporters. It's conservatives who have been pushed by the left. And when we come back, uncomfortable questions for the panel. Their answers will be fascinating. But I'm pretty sure you'll agree with them.
The North American Arms 32 NAA Guard.
Fun hour. We at the final segment already? Holy crap. Good heavens. What's the clock look like?
Almost there. All right. And 30.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sebastian Gorka, letting you know that the Desperado Sport Fishing Crew in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and our right to bear arms. Now, back to Mark Walters.
Indeed. Welcome back. Inside the KAHR Firearms Studios on the Leadslingers microphone, all this being presented to you by X Insurance. Make sure to check out all of our sponsors, please. Support them. You heard from Alan Gottlieb in the first hour of the program how important it is we stick together. And I got to be honest, we're blessed with, and it's going to be a very difficult 2 years. Silencing of the First Amendment is leading to, and as you well know, the Second Amendment is following. You can go back and listen to that hour when I get the podcast up later today. But suffice to say, it was a powerful hour with Mr. Gottlieb from my opening remarks all the way through. The remainder of the broadcast, we laid it out for you in no uncertain terms, and Mr. Gottlieb laid out for you really what needs to be done and how we go about, beginning to defend ourselves against what we know is coming. But it is critical that we support the people that support us. Please make an effort. Go out of your way. I'm asking you to go out of your way. If you're going to drink coffee, for God's sakes, make it Defender coffee. All right? Because the profits go to the gun rights organization that you choose, the group that you choose. I give it to Second Amendment Foundation. If you're going to buy a pillow or sheets or blankets or towels, for God's sakes, make it MyPillow. Use the promo code AAR. It keeps Armed American Radio on the airwaves and supports an individual who's out there that's got our back. We're like-minded. If you're going to purchase a firearm, the KAHR is out there. I know it's tough to get a hold of everything, but guess what you can do? You can go to gunbroker.com and find all the stuff that's out there. Gunbroker.com studios open up tomorrow morning. Okay? So we're all in this together, and it's critical. Support every organization that you can. Just go out of your way. I'm asking you to do that. Go out of your way. It is so vital in today's day and age. And, as you know, it's all presented by X. They're at the top of the food chain here, and they've got our back, and they're taking the firearms community by storm. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for all of this. We're in a pretty good place relative to getting the word out. The hell with big tech. They can't silence this microphone, ever. They can't do it. They'd have to shut down the 250 radio stations that we're airing on right now. And it ain't going to happen. We'll defeat them. All right, welcome back in. I don't know, where do I go from now? I guess I'm going to start with the question to end the broadcast because I want there to be a little bit of discussion about it. But guys, when you hear, and Justin, I'll start with you. When you hear the quote from Ocasio-Cortez, the tweet from her, these people are not interested. They hate you. They're out of the closet. The smoke is left the grill. Okay, you can't gather it back up. The proverbial genie has left the bottle. And I'm going to be frank with you and up front as the host of the show. I'm not going to ask you to answer something that I won't myself. I'll just come out and tell you what my answer is now. I'm not interested in befriending these people. I'm not interested in shaking her hand. I'm not interested in compromising with her because we all know what compromise means. It means you going to agree with me or STFU. Okay? And I'm not interested in playing that game. I'm not giving any ground to any of these people. So, Justin, we are here where we are today. They're stifling free speech. They're shutting down Parler in exactly 1 hour and 9 minutes from the time we're speaking right now. And that, by the way, Justin, is the same group that I use, AWS, to house thousands of hours and many years of Armed American Radio, Amazon Web Services. It's just a matter of time before they come after us. The media, free speech, and the Dems, all in control now. Are you interested in making friends with these people?
Oh, Mark, I think we're at a point where they've cut off all avenues of civil remediation of our grievances and disagreements. So if they succeed in passing laws, I don't think it matters anymore because it's irrelevant. I think before the midterm elections, we'll see Lexington and Concord.
All right, Justin is straight up with that. Brad Premo, CEO, Leadslingers. I listen, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not real comfortable, and I feel awful for my kids at 16 and 18. You've got younger kids than that. I'm not. When I see rhetoric like this from a Democrat politician, who the hell do you think you are? Brad, take it away.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I mean, my mood tonight's been a little bit subdued because of an exchange I had with a friend. I've known the guy for probably close to 20 years, and he's a Democrat, and I've always wanted to have some good intellectual discussions with him, respectful, and we had we were discussing a tweet actually from the Lincoln Project. That you mentioned.
Good heavens.
Talking about them compiling essentially a blacklist of people who have worked in the Trump administration to prevent them from ever working again.
Right.
And it finally got down to it. I had to point blank ask him if he was okay with blacklist of political enemies, and he said he was in favor of it.
There you go.
And I'm having to rethink a friendship that I've had for 20 years because although do I think you'd ever try to hurt me personally? No, but I don't know how I go on trusting somebody who's okay with blacklists. I don't care who's doing it. It's the most anti-American, dehumanizing thing I can think of you can do to a person to prevent them from making a living just because of where they worked before or who they supported politically. And so he's a middle of the road, run of the mill dude. And if that's where we're at, if that's who's supporting Democrats right now, how can we? We cannot coexist like that. I cannot coexist with somebody who wants to kill me, or somebody who wants to see me put in prison because of the type of firearms I want to own. I don't bother anybody. I just want to be left alone. I can't coexist with people like that.
You can chalk all this up to media for years, just destroying the psyche of the nation with this terrible agenda. And of course, social media. It's just the divisiveness it's caused is irreparable. I don't think we can fix it. Neil, take us to the end of the show. Until you hear music, it's yours.
Well, I think that Brad is right on. I mean, I've had to come to the same realization that there are people that whose friendship and conversation I've enjoyed for years. And in these last 4 years of the Trump administration, or 5 years of MAGA, I have to accept that they have no problem with my being sent to jail because of my political beliefs. There's nothing to do with breaking the law. Now I see that they're finding out people who went to the Trump on January 6th, and they're putting them on the no-fly list. The no-fly list? Like, since when is it okay to tell your political opponents you can't fly? And, this deplatforming began in 2010, 2011, after WikiLeaks and came out with their first big national security stuff. And the Obama administration told banks not to do business with them, right? Told server companies don't do a business with them. There was a Operation Choke Point run by the Obama administration that the bank can't deal with.
You got 20 seconds, Neil.
We're being deplatformed, and we have to figure out maybe there's another place that we can be platformed. Maybe it's our own country. I don't know what's going on, but it's like they don't want me in this country, and I'm trying to figure out where to go.
Well, I'm going to leave it at that, lest I say something that I don't want to say. Well, I do, but I'm not ready yet. Armed American Radio, the Daily Defense tomorrow. What a fantastic program today was. Hard-hitting stuff. Thank you guys at the table, Justin Moon, Brad Premo, and, of course, Neil McCabe. Tomorrow we're going to get up and do it again, And we're going to do it from the gunbroker.com studios, yes, on the Crossbreed holster microphone. And I promise you, it's going to be huge until we meet tomorrow. We took this one all the way to the limit. Carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never leave your cave without your club. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
Rap.
Wow, what a great show. Time, I can't believe that went by as fast as it did.
I don't know why you're surprised.
I don't know. Maybe because I'm wide awake and it's 11 o'clock Eastern time. This is why I love being out on the West Coast when I do the show. I love being 8 o'clock when I'm in Arizona, for example.
Yeah.
And I can go out to Scottsdale and have a couple street tacos, you know, and a glass of booze and relax and chill out and go to bed at 11 o'clock and get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
I hate Eastern time when I'm doing the show at this time. Hate it. But anyway, I'd take that hour extra you have right now, bud, be honest with you.
It's nice. It's only 10 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, what a huge program. I want to thank everybody for jumping in. Hundreds of comments. Hundreds. I think we hit 100 comments, I think, into the second segment of the first hour. And we did have more viewers today, I think, in here than at any time in the past. They don't let a lot of people know that we're on, so we depend on you to get out there. It's called throttling. But nonetheless, great commentary from you guys in there. We appreciate it very much. Greg, I got a ton of work to do. I'm going to go ahead and cut you loose. You need anything?
No, I'm good. See you tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow. Powerful stuff. Thanks. Okay, we just let Greg go. He's awesome. Your commentary on Greg is spot on, by the way. He is the best. And, boy, wish I could have gotten to everything, so. Yeah, hundreds of comments already, and you guys are awesome. Dudes, it really was. From Gottlieb all the way on down. Look, brace yourself, guys. It's going to be like this now for a long time to come. And here's the fun part about it. That asshole Jack Dorsey and Zuckerberg and the rest of them, they can't silence this mic. I don't need their platform. Okay? It can go poof today, and this mic doesn't go anywhere. So remember that. And if you want to, and here's the beautiful part about it. With our website, as soon as we release it, well, you can go over there now and sign up. We're not doing anything with it yet with the newsletters, but those are going to be going out on a regular basis once a week as soon as we launch the new website. So we don't need their platforms. You can sign up at armedamericanradio.org, armedamericanradio.org, and just sign up and get on the list. You don't get hounded with emails. You'll get a newsletter once every couple weeks in the near future once the new website is launching. You'll get all the news you need, and the new website's going to have news on it and video and everything else. So going to be fun stuff. All right, guys, I got a ton to do. It is 11 o'clock on the East Coast. We're going to get the podcast up for you in just a couple minutes. Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate it. Tomorrow, the gunbroker.com studios. And I almost said on the Car Arms Platinum microphone, but on the Crossbreed holsters Platinum microphone. Thanks for being here. And hold your heads up. We're going to band together. Believe me, we'll show them. I'm confident of that. David, Vern, Kim, Steve, Dubes, Mark, Derek, Di, David, Paul, Ron, Steve, Martin, Angeline. Remember, Annette Jacobs don't wear no face diaper, right? Gotta love that. Thanks, Annette, for playing along. Appreciate it. Travis. All right, guys. God bless each and every one of you. Thanks for being in here. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow.